Okay, so if I told you that snake oil, well, that it isn't just a metaphor for a scam, but that it might actually be this powerful, super potent, legitimate ingredient, would you immediately call us snake oil salesmen?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that makes you stop and think, like, wait. We're
Yeah.
talking about a term that is, I mean, universally synonymous with fraud, with,
Yeah.
deceit, quackery.
Exactly. And that's our mission today. We're going to dive deep into the legendary history of this phrase. We need to figure out why it became this like poster child for health fraud.
Mm.
What modern business practices kind of fit that definition today, and this is the big one, reveal the genuinely surprising truth about the original substance that started it all.
Yeah. Because, and you need to get this, the fraud wasn't really the oil itself. It was the salesman selling a fake version of the oil.
Okay, so let's set the scene. To get the origin story, you have to picture the American West, like 1800s.
Right. Think Wild West, but for commerce, too. You had these traveling pitchmen going town to town,
Dusty towns, yeah.
dusty towns, selling various cure-alls, tonics, oils, promising to fix everything. Baldness, arthritis, you name it.
And it was super competitive, totally unregulated, anything goes.
Absolutely. And the guy, the one who really cemented the snake and snake oil salesman, that was Clark Stanley.
Ah, Stanley, right. He had Stanley's snake oil liniment, claimed it was this miracle cure, especially for arthritis, pain relief, did these big dramatic demonstrations to sell it.
But here's where it gets, well, just bizarre. The punchline. The government, under the new Pure Food and Drug Act in 1906, finally tested his stuff.
What did they find?
The ultimate irony.
Oh.
His snake oil contained mineral oil, some beef fat, maybe a little red pepper for kick.
But no snake oil.
Zero. Not a drop. There was no actual snake oil in the bottle.
Wait, so he wasn't busted for selling something useless?
No. That's the crazy part. He was busted for selling a counterfeit of a remedy that, well, when it was genuine, actually kind of worked.
He was a fraud selling a fake version of a real product. That's, wow.
And the punishment? Get this. A $20 fine.
$20, that's it. Like, what is that today, 600 bucks maybe?
Something like that. Just laughably tiny. But that tiny fine, that one incident, it somehow created this century-long global brand of deceit around natural remedies.
It's like getting a parking ticket and suddenly everyone thinks cars are inherently evil for 100 years.
Exactly. And you got to remember the context here, this whole demonization thing. It happened precisely when the new organized pharmaceutical industry was starting to flex its muscles.
Ah, okay, so they needed to compete.
Fiercely. They needed to compete with all the existing remedies, many of which were natural, traditional. So making snake oil synonymous with fraud, that tainted everything else by association. Clever in a way.
Okay, so that brings us to today. If we define the original snake oil salesperson as someone committing health fraud, you know, using fake ingredients, making false claims, using shills in the crowd.
Yeah, planting people to cheer it on.
Right, if that's the definition.
Yeah.
What does the modern version look like?
Well, it looks kind of the same, honestly, just bigger.
Mm-hmm.
The traveling wagon, that's been replaced by a shiny corner office tower.
So the organizations that replaced those old-timey salesmen didn't stop the fraud?
No, they just scaled it up massively.
Yeah.
We've basically entered the era of, well, let's call it snake oil 2.0.
Snake oil 2.0, I like it. And the money involved, it's not even comparable, is it?
Oh, it's astronomical. Clark Stanley, $20. Modern corporate health fraud cases, we're talking settlements in the billions, sometimes $100 billion.
$100 billion. That's not just inflation. That's a whole different universe of deception.
And a huge shift in who carries the risk.
Right.
It's not the salesman anymore.
So let's talk about the products, because the counterfeit ingredient thing, it hasn't vanished, has it? It just got kind of legalized.
You could definitely argue that. Think about adulterated foods. That's a prime example.
Adulterated, meaning?
Basically making something pure, impure,
Mm-hmm.
usually by adding a cheaper substitute.
Yeah.
Think about sugarcane, expensive pure. Now think high fructose corn syrup, cheap substitute. Or, the big one, swapping out healthy fats like olive oil or butter for cheap industrial seed oils.
Which can be highly inflammatory.
Yeah, exactly. It's substitution driven purely by cost, by profit, and often you end up with something nutritionally worse, sold as just food.
And then there's drug safety. Transparency issues there seem like a huge concern in the sources we looked at.
Massive. Take Vioxx. Remember Vioxx? Popular pain med. Deemed safe, effective for years.
Until,
well, according to the allegations in the settlement, something like 60,000 people allegedly died from heart issues linked to it.
Yeah.
Pulled off the market.
60,000, wow. And the issue there was?
Well, the critics point to alleged selective reporting of trial data. Downplaying the side effects, maybe hyping the benefit.
Which sounds exactly like the original snake oil playbook.
It's the literal definition, yeah.
Yeah.
False claims, hidden risks.
Okay, so if the safety data itself can be questionable, that makes you wonder about how we even define diseases, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned back in 1900, there were maybe 200 recognized diseases. Now, it's like 17,000.
Yeah, the number has exploded. And the critique here, what some sources call manufactured diseases, centers on the incentive.
Meaning?
Well, if you identify a new disease, or maybe just a new variation of something, suddenly there's a whole new market for a drug to treat it.
Right, creates demand.
Exactly. And sources particularly point to psychiatric diagnoses. Sometimes, apparently, these are based on panels of experts. Voting.
Voting, not like objective biological tests.
Not always, according to these critiques. Less objective markers, more consensus.
Yeah.
Which critics argue creates this potential cash cow situation. The definition of the problem is tied up with the solution being sold.
Which leads us right into the whole massive debate around SSRIs. The common drugs for depression, anxiety, huge market, multi-billions.
Oh, yeah. Enormous.
What's the latest thinking on the science behind those?
Okay, this is where the modern fraud argument really gets heated. Recent analyses, big reviews, have suggested that the core idea, the chemical imbalance theory,
that depression is just low serotonin.
Yeah, that specific idea, it was never actually definitively proven. It was more of a hypothesis that kind of got marketed into fact.
Seriously. But it's so widely accepted.
Right. But the evidence suggesting these drugs, in many cases, barely outperform a placebo, it's significant, especially for major depression.
Okay, hold on. So we have a theory that wasn't really proven.
Yeah.
Supporting drugs that might only work marginally better than a sugar pill.
For some people, yeah.
But which critics argue can cause significant harm. Side effects, dependency?
Precisely. That, in the view of these critics, is basically snake oil on steroids. Huge hype on the benefits, downplaying the risks, all built on kind of shaky science that was pushed hard to doctors and the public.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about the system that protects this inversion of power.
Yeah.
Big pharma often seems shielded from liability, right? Certain lawsuits, they're just off the hook.
Yeah, there are specific legal protections in place, like with vaccines, for instance, and then you see market manipulation just out in the open.
Like insulin prices.
Perfect example. Same vial of insulin. Costs a fortune in the U.S. Go across the border to Canada or Mexico.
A fraction of the price.
The drug didn't change.
Nope, just the price protection. The market rules.
Which brings us to this kind of terrifying idea you mentioned. Legalize snake oil. How does that work? Through regulatory capture.
Essentially, yeah. Imagine this. A company gets FDA approval for a drug. They patent it. Okay, standard.
Right.
But then that same company effectively relies on the FDA to police that patent, to protect their monopoly against competition, maybe even against alternative non-patented solutions.
So the regulator becomes the protector of the regulated company's market share.
That's the argument. The goal shifts, critics say, from purely protecting public health to also protecting the industry's patents and profits.
And the conflicts of interest must be significant.
Well, yeah. When the expert panels advising these health agencies often have financial ties, consulting fees, research grants, stock options to the very companies whose products they're evaluating, it's hard to see how that's purely impartial science.
It sounds less like regulation and more like, well, a protection racket, as you put it.
It's a very sophisticated system.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've kind of mapped out how the spirit of the old scam seems to have gone corporate and legal.
Yeah, depressing stuff.
But let's pivot back to the beginning. We have to look at the legitimate, the real snake oil, the stuff Clark Stanley was faking. What did that original remedy actually do? Who used it?
Right. The Chinese railroad workers came over in the 1800s, built the Transcontinental Railroad. Grueling work.
Unbelievably tough. Back-breaking labor, 18-hour days sometimes. They needed something powerful, something fast for chronic pain, inflammation, arthritis.
And they used genuine snake oil because it worked.
It worked. But here's the key thing. Clark Stanley either missed or ignored the geography. The real stuff came from a specific Chinese water snake.
Not the American rattlesnake.
Totally different. That Chinese water snake had a unique fatty acid profile. The American rattlesnake oil Stanley was likely using, or pretending to use, didn't have the magic ingredient in the same concentration.
That ingredient was
An omega-3 fatty acid, but a very specific one. Eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA.
EPA. Okay, we hear about omega-3s all the time. Fish oil, DHA for the brain, ALA from flax. What's special about EPA?
EPA is the real powerhouse for tackling systemic inflammation,
Yeah.
aggressively regulating it.
And the Chinese water snake oil is packed with it.
Dramatically high levels, way more concentrated than standard fish oil,
Yeah.
even more than salmon oil. That's why it was apparently so potent for that kind of deep chronic pain and joint inflammation.
Okay, so how does it work differently from, say, an Advil or something, an NSAID?
Right, good question. An NSAID, a typical anti-inflammatory drug. Think of it like just shutting off the fire alarm. It blocks a specific enzyme pathway, stops the pain signal.
Okay, simple block.
Simple block. But EPA, it's fundamentally different. It's not just silencing the alarm.
To changing the whole situation.
Exactly. It changes the entire ecosystem of inflammation in the cell. Instead of just blocking one thing, it helps actively shift pro-inflammatory factors. The molecule is literally causing the pain and swelling and helps turn them into anti-inflammatory factors.
Yeah.
It's like it reprograms the body's response mechanism back toward balance.
Whoa, so it works with the body's natural system rather than just shutting something down?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And because of that, you get powerful anti-inflammation, but generally without the nasty side effects you can get from chronic NSAI, the stomach issues, kidney problems.
Right. Makes sense. So real snake oil, or rather its high EPA content, would be potent for what? Arthritis, obviously.
Severe arthritis,
Yeah.
bursitis, tendinitis, basically anything driven by chronic inflammation. And crucially, autoimmune diseases, things like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, where inflammation is the core driver. It's like step one for calming that fire.
But it's systemic, right? So the benefits go beyond just joints.
Oh, absolutely. EPA's effects are body-wide. It acts as a natural antidepressant, helping stabilize mood.
Yep.
Significant cardiovascular protection, too. Studies link good EPA levels to about a 25% lower risk of heart attack.
25%, that's huge.
It is. And here's something really interesting from a medical standpoint. EPA helps reduce fibrosis.
Fibrosis, scar tissue.
Exactly. When you have chronic, unchecked inflammation, the body tries to heal by laying down thick scar tissue in your liver, your heart, even your brain. EPA helps regulate that inflammation, potentially reducing that harmful scarring, keeping organs healthier.
Wow. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, it also seems to significantly improve insulin sensitivity. That's a massive win for diabetics, anyone with metabolic syndrome. And it helps regulate the immune system. Some studies even suggest potential anti-tumor effects. It's powerful stuff.
Okay, and now for the final wild card about this ancient remedy, the thing that just sounds nuts.
Yeah, this one is pretty mind-blowing. You don't necessarily have to swallow it.
You can rub it on.
You can rub real EPA-rich snake oil, topically, onto an inflamed joint, a sore muscle. And the EPA can absorb through the skin and reduce that localized inflammation.
Without even taking it orally.
Without taking it orally. It acts as a direct, localized anti-inflammatory.
That is truly wild. It's the ultimate proof that this was a potent natural remedy.
Demonized purely by association with a fraudster, not because it didn't work.
So, okay, let's wrap this up. We've come full circle in this really bizarre loop, haven't we?
Totally bizarre.
A natural, potent remedy gets ridiculed, rejected worldwide just because it got linked to one cheap grifter selling a fake version back in the 1800s. Meanwhile, the actual spirit of that original scam, selling minimal effectiveness for maximum profit, often with legal shield.
Minimum effectiveness, maximum hype.
Right. That now operates openly, legally, on a massive corporate scale.
It's really astonishing how easily the meaning of a word, a concept, can be just completely flipped upside down, especially when there are literally trillions of dollars on the line.
Yeah, we were basically taught to fear the natural thing that actually had power.
While the sophisticated, systemic version of the scam got rebranded as, modern medicine or progress.
So here's the final thought to leave you with. If the only real difference separating true healing from a massive billion-dollar fraud is just the patent protecting the product, then how do you ever really know whose oil to trust?
Something to chew on, definitely.